Okay, so let's continue with our next video in our practice question series of AWS Certified Developer Associate exam. So let's go to the question number 31. A developer is migrating an on-premise application to AWS. So there is one application which earlier running on-premise. Now he wants to migrate to AWS. The application currently takes user upload. So what application is basically did? It takes some user upload and then save them to the local directory on the server. All upload must be saved and made immediately available to all the instances in the auto scaling group. So they said there is an application running, and application takes user upload. So user is uploading something, and then application is saving locally to the server. But as soon as the upload is completed, whatever the uploaded file, it should be available to all the EC2 instances in the auto scaling group. So what should you do? So let's go to the option. Use Amazon EBS and configure application AMI to use a snapshot of the same EBS instance on boot. So this looks wrong. Elastic Boot Store volume is only specific to one EC2 instance. You can't share even if you uploaded your files to EBS, then how it can be available to the other instances? But the question say it should be available to all instances. Use Amazon S3 and re-architecture your application to upload to S3. So this looks correct to me because S3 any instance can access the data from the S3, and use instance storage. Totally wrong. Instance storage is a ephemeral storage, so only it will be available when the machine is in the running state. Use Amazon EBS and the file synchronization software to achieve eventual consistency among the autoscaling group. This is complicated. They said like first upload on EBS and then some kind of software so that all the EBS within the autoscaling group can get the same data. Looks wrong. So B looks correct. Question number 32. A developer is creating a script to automate the deployment process for a serverless application. Okay, the developer want to use an existing AWS SAM model template for the application. So there is a script to automate the deployment process. Okay, and the developer want to use an SAM model. What should the developer use for this project? So they are using the SAM. SAM is a serverless to deploy your serverless applications. So and the question also say we need to deploy the serverless application. So SAM is just like we have the CloudFormation template. CloudFormation template is going to deploy everything. SAM is just for the serverless applications, right? So what should you do? We need to choose to call AWS CloudFormation package to create a deployment package, and then call AWS CloudFormation deploy to deploy the package. So we need to deploy something. So first we need to create a package and then we need to deploy the package. So this might be correct. Let's go through the other option. But this is a AWS CloudFormation option. Call AWS package to call SAM package to create the deployment package and SAM deploy command. So this looks correct because we have to use the SAM. We are using the SAM template. So if we are using the SAM template, SAM commands looks correct. So one is correct, but we need to choose two. Call AWS S3CP to upload the SAM template to Amazon S3, and then call AWS Lambda function. Totally wrong. Create a zip package locally and call AWS serverless repo create a application. Wrong. Create a zip package and upload it to Amazon S3. Call AWS CloudFormation create stack. But why should we manually upload? Totally wrong. But we need to choose two. So one could be the answer because though it's a SAM template, but it is based upon the CloudFormation template, and it is currently supporting both the commands. Either you can run the SAM commands or either you can run the CloudFormation command. So both the commands is valid, even there is a sample and SAM template as well. So A and B looks correct. Question number 33. A developer has built a market applications that stores pricing data in Amazon DynamoDB with Amazon Elastic Cache in front. So there is an application, and there is a DynamoDB, and in between Elastic Cache. So application is storing the data into database Amazon DynamoDB, and but there is a cache in between. The price of items in the market change frequently, so it means it looks like the application is frequently updating the database. Sellers have begun complaining that after they update the price of the item, the price does not actually change in the product listing. So they said we have updated the price into the database, but when we see the price on the screen, when we list the price, we are able to see the old price. We are not able to see the new price. What could be the reason? So elastic cache could be the reason, because cache was not updated because you updated only the database. Maybe there is some time to leave or some cache expiry time, right? So cache is not updated. That could be the reason. So cache is not being invalidated when the price of the data is being checked totally correct. The price of the item is being retrieved using a write through totally wrong. The DynamoDB table was provisioned with insufficient read capacity, wrong. Insufficient read wrong. So basically, when you want the new data from the database, and the data still exists in the cache, so you want to invalidate the cache manually. So A looks correct. Question number 34. A developer, the developer is creating a web application. Okay, so he's creating a web application that collects highly regulated and confidential user data through a post request. So there is a web application, some REST APIs, and someone is hitting the post request on the application, and using the post request you are sending some data, and you are sending some highly regulated and confidential user data. Okay, the web application is served through CloudFront. Okay, so application and CloudFront is front of them. Username and phone numbers. So you can be send user data. So user data can be multiple data like address, everything. But the question is username and the phone number must be encrypted at the edge and must remain encrypted through the entire application stack. What is the most common secure? So you need to encrypt it. Okay, and force match viewer with HTTPS. So HTTPS can be correct because HTTPS will make sure you are transferring the trust securely, right? But not encrypted. Along with that, it is just a transformation. When the data is being actually stored at that time, the HTTP is not going to work. TLS wrong, signed URL, totally wrong. Signed URL is just to give the access to the only the particular authorized users. Use field level encryption, totally correct. Because at edge, so your application is there, CloudFront is in front of that. If you use field level encryption because you want to only encrypt two fields, so you can use the field level encryption on the CloudFront. As soon as the data enter, encrypt it and then travel that data and store it. So D looks correct. Question number 35. A developer has been asked to create an AWS Lambda function that is triggered any time updates are made to the items in Amazon DynamoDB table. Okay, so you have two services. One is Lambda function, one is DynamoDB table. And the developer wants as soon as he updates something in DynamoDB table, the Lambda should be triggered. Okay, the function has been created and appropriate permission has been added to the Lambda. So they said function, they have created the function, permission has been added, okay, for the execution role. Okay, DynamoDB streams has been enabled. So what is the DynamoDB stream? As soon as you made some update or insert commands, those changes will be reflected into streams, but the function is not being triggered. Okay, what could be the root cause? So if you read the question properly, they said you have the DynamoDB table and you have the streams. So person is inserting the data into the DynamoDB table and it's going to the stream, which is fine. There is a Lambda function, but where is the connectivity between the Lambda function and the stream? How the stream will send the message to the Lambda, or how the Lambda know the data has been updated? So there should be some mapping, right? So that is the root cause. So change the stream viewer type to new and old images. So wrong, because this is just for what all things you want to store into the streams. This is not for the Lambda function. Configure event source mapping for the Lambda function. Totally correct, because currently there is no connection between the stream and the Lambda. So you have to create an event source mapping. Map an SNS topic to the DynamoDB stream. No. Increase the timeout. Lambda function itself is not even triggering, so timeout doesn't make any sense. So option B is correct. Question number 36. A company maintains a REST service using Amazon API gateway. So there is a Amazon API gateway, and behind that the REST service. Okay. And the API gateway native API key validation. So whenever someone calls some API, there is some key validation whether you are passing the correct key or not. It is being done on the API gateway itself. The company recently launched a new registration page. So because there is a REST API, so one more change has been done. That is the sign up page has been launched. So when they have deployed, users can sign up the service, which looks fine because they have created that page and user able to do that. The registration page creates a new API key using create API key. Okay. So maybe some kind of a token has been sent to the user, and send the new key to the user. Perfectly okay, because generally when you try to sign up into some account, some OTP has been come to your email, and then OTP need to be sent. So that is fine. When the users attempts to call the API using that key, they are getting error. Okay. So now they said they are getting some token, kind of a key, but when they are using that key, they are getting the error. Why they are getting the error? Existing users are unaffected. So they said existing users are unaffected, but only the new users which got the key are affected. Which code updates grant this user new access? Create deployment method must be deployed. So it looks wrong because they said you need, because you have changed the code, you need to deploy. Wrong. We already deployed. That's why user able to sign up. If we have not even deployed the new registration page, users should not able to sign up. Update authorizer method and code the API authorization to include the nullifier. They said you need to update the authorizer method, but wrong, because API key validation is happening on the API gateway, not within the applications, because it is a native API key validation. So there is no authorization or custom authorization method. Wrong. Import API key method must be called to import newly API key. Totally wrong, because we are generating the key via code, and we are sending to the user, and user will pass through the API. We are dynamically generating the key. There is not a single key which we need to hardcore, so you can't import that key. So the remaining option is D. D is left. So the create usage plan key method must be called to associate the newly create API key with the correct usage plan. So D will be correct. So you can even go through the elimination approach. The D will be correct. Question number 37. An application uploads photo on Amazon S3 bucket. Okay. Each photo that is uploaded to S3 bucket must be resized to thumbnail. Okay. Each thumbnail image is uploaded with a new name back into the S3 bucket, which AWS service a developer can configure directly. So generally, this kind of operation can be easily done by the Lambda, because you can add the trigger as soon as something has been uploaded to the S3 bucket. The Lambda has been run, and the Lambda code will create a thumbnail image and store back to the S3 bucket. So EC2 wrong, ECS wrong, Beanstalk no wrong, D Lambda correct. Question number 38. A company is running a Docker application on Amazon ECS. So they are running some Docker application on ECS. Okay. The container must scale based on the user load in the last 15 seconds. How should the developer instrument the code so that the requirement can be met? So they said we need to check the user load in the last 15 seconds, and based upon that we need to scale up the application. Okay. Create a high resolution custom vision CloudWatch metric for user activity data, then publish data every 30 seconds. This looks wrong, because if you publish the data every 30 seconds, how within the 50-second the application gets scale up, because you are already delaying the data, right? Create a high resolution Amazon CloudWatch metric for user activity data and then publish every 5 seconds. This can be correct. 30 second again wrong. Let's read the last option. Create a standard resolution custom vision CloudWatch metric for user and then publish data every 5 seconds. D is wrong and B is correct. Why? Because here we are using a standard resolution custom CloudWatch metric. So this metric, if you use the standard metric, you can send the data, publish data after minimum 1 minute. If you want to send the data earlier, like 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 5 second, like in this case, then you have to use the high resolution custom metrics. And here you want to send the data before 15 seconds. So that's why you have to use the high resolution custom metric. You can't use the standard because standard one, you can't publish the data like before 1 minute. So option B is correct. Question number 39. Where should the abspec.yml file will be placed? So abspec.yml is the file which is used in the code deploy service. So generally this file should be placed on the root of the application. Similarly, build spec like for code build, and that file also should be on the root of the folder. So option will be in on the root of the application source code. Correct. Bin folder no, S3 bucket no, in the same folder where the application no. So A is correct. Question number 40. A developer is working on an application that handles 10 MB documents that contain high sensitivity data. Okay. The application will use AWS KMS to perform client-side encryption. So we need to perform the client-side encryption. What step we should follow? Okay. Invoke the encrypt API. Totally wrong, because encrypt API will be can encrypt the data up to 4 KB, but it is 10 MB document. So generally for the 10 MB document, we have the generate data key API. I have already covered in one of the video. Second option is invoke the generate random key API. Totally wrong. So C and D looks correct because option says generate data key, generate data key. But let's read which one is correct. Invoke the generate data key API to retrieve the encrypted version of the data to encrypt the data. Looks wrong because he said because when you call the generate data API key now, it gives you two key. One is the plain text key, one is the encrypted key. And using that plain text key, you are going to encrypt the data. You can't encrypt the data with the encrypted key itself. You have to store the encrypted key with the data, and that data needs to pass so that whoever will get that data, they can decrypt back it later. But to decrypt the data, to encrypt the data, sorry, you have to use the plain text version. So D looks correct. So D looks correct. So that's it. That's the end of the video, and thank you.